London, still blue. Hello guys, how you getting on? My name is Aaron Kelly and welcome back to another episode of the Premier League verdict. London is blue, all is well, but you know what could make it even better? If the 30% of you lot who watch my videos that aren't subscribed would do so right now, it would help me a massive amount. We're trying to hit 500 subs before the end of 2021. I believe we can get there with the right help. So if you share the video around, give it a like, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. There's nothing stopping you. I'm in a fucking good mood right now. It's been a while since I've swore on a verdict, but Chelsea Football Club have just beaten Tottenham Hotspur, so all is most certainly well in the world at the minute. Let's get our little graphic up then, as usual, for the Premier League verdict. We have our three boxes: the green, the yellow, and the red, and it was a pretty eventful weekend of Premier League football overall, I think it's fair to say. But let's stop the dilly-dallying, stop the messing around, stop the dancing to one step beyond, and give us our first box of the weekend. And of course, we're going to talk first about the biggest game of the weekend, Tottenham versus Chelsea. Our green box goes to Thiago Silva, and I was contemplating giving this box to N'Golo Kante, Thomas Tuchel, could have easily got it as well. We'll go into them later on in the video, but I gotta talk about Thiago Silva for a second. This guy is proper Chelsea. Like, he loves the club. Was absolutely instrumental in keeping off an onslaught of Tottenham attacks in the first half, really. At the start of the second half, scores the opening goal of the game to give Chelsea the lead at Shy Hart Lane, and it was an absolute peach of a header. Wonderful corner from Marcus Alonso, who was excellent again, and that goal from Thiago Silva really set Chelsea on the way. The second goal was scored by N'Golo Kante after a big deflection on the shot from Eric Dyer, took it past Hugo Lloris. Kante was awarded with the goal, and then the little cherry on top was Timo Werner setting up Antonio Rudiger with an unbelievable finish. Lads, Chelsea board, if you're watching this video, give Antonio Rudiger the contract. Give him exactly what he wants, because this man has turned his life around as a Chelsea player. Holy shit, what a performance, and what a goal from Antonio Rudiger. But let's be honest, the game wasn't completely plain sailing for Chelsea. Like, the first half was very much end-to-end stuff, Tottenham probably having the better of it. The wind was definitely in their sails in that first half, had a couple of decent chances. Kepa in goal actually had a very good game. He had one where he kind of spilled a shot from distance from Harry Kane, a shot come cross from Harry Kane. But apart from that, Kepa was absolutely wonderful, wasn't he? Thiago Silva was so important when it came to keeping Tottenham at bay. In Chelsea, teams in years gone by, it could have been very easy to crumble underneath that pressure that Tottenham were putting Chelsea under in the first half. But just Tottenham really couldn't breach that Chelsea defence, and that second half performance was such a statement by Chelsea. It really was unbelievable stuff. And if Chelsea had played that way for the whole game, I genuinely think they could have won it 4 or 5-0, 6-0 maybe even, because that was scintillating at times in that second half. And I gotta give huge props to Thomas Tuchel. He spotted the problem and he makes the change at half time. He brings in N'Golo Kante for Mason Mount, changes up the formation a little bit, and Chelsea absolutely dominate the game. So Thomas Tuchel proving once again that he is an absolute footballing genius and should not be underestimated. Chelsea were excellent. Thiago Silva was man of the match. He gets the green box for this week, and it was absolute scenes at White Hart Lane. Chelsea's playground, White Hart Lane. It really is. And if you had any previous doubts, if there was still some delusional people out there who were saying London is white or London is red, God forbid, reconsider your options. Moving on to our yellow box then, and our shocking wow factor of the week. I gotta give it to Naby Keita, because that goal, I cannot wait to try and recreate that in the September recreations in a couple of weeks' time, because he scores an absolute worldie in Liverpool's 3-0 win over Crystal Palace at Anfield. Obviously, a lot of the big teams are looking absolutely ruthless at the minute. I've been going on for the first couple of minutes of this video about Chelsea, but Liverpool were brilliant against Crystal Palace. It didn't always go their way in the game, in fairness. Palace had a couple of chances, and Naby Keita's goal wasn't really a goal that changed anything in the game. Liverpool were already 2-0 up. It was already looking comfortable. Sadio Mane and Mo Salah had already had Liverpool in a wonderful position, but the way Keita connects with this ball on the left peg, and I think the celebration adds to it as well. He's had a lot of doubters, he's had a lot of haters during his time at Liverpool, hasn't he, Naby Keita? And, you know, admittedly, for the price tag that, you know, Liverpool spent on him, there's always going to be that pressure there on him to deliver, and so far he hasn't. He's had a couple of flashes here and there, but this was certainly one of them. What a goal. Liverpool keep the pace. They went top on Saturday, but obviously Chelsea's win today sees Chelsea go top. I'm not sure on what grounds, but when I look at the Premier League table right now, Chelsea Football Club are top of it, so happy days there. But Liverpool very, very convincing again. And, I think, not a lot of people talking about Liverpool, going into pre-season, and even now as the season has started, and Liverpool have only dropped points once, and that being in the draw at Anfield against Chelsea. Everybody's kind of talking about Manchester United and Chelsea, and obviously that's going to happen when they've had the summers of transfers they've had. But a lot of people sleeping on Liverpool. And admittedly, the performances haven't been as scintillating and unbelievable as maybe they were when this team was in its peak, quote unquote, when they were like in their title winning year or always up competing for the title. They're still getting the job done, Liverpool, and not a team to be slept on at all. The only worry is if they start getting injuries, that's when problems start to arise for Liverpool, I think. But overall, at the minute, they've nothing to be annoyed about. Results is all we look back on at the end of the day, isn't it? And Liverpool are getting them. And people need to wake up to the fact that Liverpool are very much in this title race as well. Moving on to our stinker of the week then, and this one annoys me, alright? And I am going to have a bit of a pop here. I've got a bit of a bone to pick. Our stinker for the week goes to David Moyes, right? I'll set the scene for you. West Ham, Manchester United at the London Stadium. Big game. West Ham obviously had a massive win during the week in Zagreb. Manchester United had not such a good week in the Champions League against Young Boys. And West Ham will be looking at the top 6, 7 in the Premier League this season. I'm thinking we can break into that top 6. We can be getting into those European places. We can challenge for Champions League. I know I would say the top 4 at the minute. I mean, Brighton are in the top 4 at the minute, aren't they? But the top 4 from last season are very clear of the rest of the league. But West Ham will think, we can cause a few upsets and claim a few scalps here and there. And today would have been no different. They take the lead through Saïd Benrahma's deflected shot went in off Rafa Varane. And then, of course, not too long later, Cristiano Ronaldo equalised and got his 4th goal in his first 3 Manchester United appearances since his return to the club after 12 years. The second half kind of looked like it was meandering towards that 1-1 draw, but then an inspired substitution by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I know a lot of people questioned Ollie's changes during the week, including myself. He made some questionable decisions. Let's just put it at that. And Jesse Lingard was the change he brought on today. Obviously returning to West Ham, he had such a successful loan spell there last season, and he's now coming off the back of a fatal error for Manchester United against Young Boys during the week, which granted Young Boys the winning goal in the 95th minute. Jesse Lingard comes on, and as if it was written in the stars, comes on and absolutely buries one in the top bins to make it 2-1 to United with only a couple of minutes left on the clock. And then really United should have had a penalty, in my opinion. Now Ronaldo had 2 separate incidences where he dives on the ground and was nowhere near getting a penalty, and maybe that influenced the referee and VAR's decision. It shouldn't have, because Kurt Zouma, making his debut for West Ham in the Premier League, absolutely he had a wonderful game, by the way, Kurt Zouma, but we know he has these kind of incidences in him. Dives in on Cristiano Ronaldo. I think it's a clear penalty. The referee waves it away. VAR looks at it and still says no somehow. And in a controversial turn of events, West Ham head up the other end. Yarmolenko's cross off the hand of Luke Shaw. Penalty given. And this is where our stinker of the week comes in. Okay, I've got a long-winded story to get to this point, but it was an exciting and eventful game. Declan Rice has the ball in his hand. Now, Declan Rice was one of the best players on the pitch, probably West Ham's best player today, if I'm being honest. He has the ball in his arms. He's the penalty taker when Mark Noble isn't on the pitch. David Moyes looks back to his bench and brings Mark Noble on. Now, I say this a lot because you cannot, it sounds silly, but you cannot bring a player on just to take a penalty. Like, it very, very rarely ends well. And you think to yourself logically, he's only coming on to kick a ball from 12 yards. He should be okay even if he's not fully warm. That myth is completely busted now. Mark Noble comes on, one of the most reliable men from 12 yards, and from that degree I can see where David Moyes was coming from, bringing him on to take the penalty. But in the long run, I kind of knew it was going to be a silly decision. Mark Noble comes on. David De Gea, who I think hasn't saved a penalty for like 6 years or something like that. I could be very wrong. I'm just kind of saying that off the top of my head. I heard something like that recently. David De Gea makes the save, and it was a very poor penalty by Mark Noble. Nice height, not really near a corner by him either, and it's a pretty simple save for David De Gea, and he saved the day for Manchester United. Saved all 3 points as well, and United's unbeaten run away from home stretches to like 29 games now or something crazy like that. But Jesse Lingard and David De Gea, the heroes, but David Moyes gets our stinker of the week for match week 5, because it's a decision that if it comes off he looks like a genius, but it didn't. So he looks like a plum. That's where I'm going to wrap it up, lads. Match week 5 was very, very eventful indeed. We've got a couple of big matches coming up next week, including the North London Derby and Chelsea versus Manchester City. So I'm sure we'll have a couple of stories from match week 6 to talk about next week and them games in particular. As I said at the beginning of the video, leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I will catch you later. I've been trying to find a way